So I would like you to introduce yourself.
Great, no worries. So my name is Lee from the UK, and I'm a spiritualist medium. So my job as a medium is to act as almost like a middleman between your loved ones who have passed away and yourself. So within that, I'm able to see spirits, feel spirits, and hear what they say. Um, my personal life, I'm a father of three children. A single father of three children since my wife passed away. So yeah, it's quite a busy life, really. Quite a busy life.
Okay. I'm glad to have you here because I'm very curious. All right. So I have a list of questions, but I might go off topic just a little bit.
That's fine.
All right. So I just I want to know how when you actually found out you are psychic and when you started seeing spirits and everything. At what age did you start seeing these things?
So yeah, it's a good question because I think it's something that happens differently for everybody. My own personal experience, though, is that I've never known any different. I've always been able to see spirits from early childhood. I found it quite difficult in the beginning to understand the difference between a spirit and a living person, but that was quite early on in my childhood. Um, I have family members who can also see spirit, and that was then explained, who these people were. And as I got older, there was just an understanding that that's what Lee does, and it sort of grew from there, really. So I've never really known any difference, but I learned quite early on that not everyone has or works with that ability.
Okay. So, but were you afraid the first time when you're younger, were you afraid or because it's something that happens in your family, were you already expecting it or
Yeah, there were times definitely throughout my childhood, especially where I felt afraid. Definitely, especially on times where you felt uneasy around being around certain spirit energies. But there's more times where I felt more at peace and calm than what I felt afraid. Um, and I suppose as you get older, you sort of become less afraid of things, but you're very respectful also. So there's that healthy sense of caution, if that makes sense.
yes, it
But
does.
yeah, certainly there were definitely times where I was afraid, but that fear soon passed.
Okay. Um, how has it affected your social life?
I haven't really found that it has affected my social life, really. I mean, lots of people around where I live know what I do, and there's lots of people that do the same thing right the way across the whole world, I suppose. So it's not really something that's frowned upon. But I haven't really found it's affected my social life, but rather it has put me into a circle of friends that are involved in the same thing, if that makes sense. So my social life is more now to do with spiritualism and mediumship as opposed to those who aren't, I suppose.
Okay. So how does it really appear to you? Do you just feel it or do you see it? How how do you know something is around?
Of course. So I think that to answer that question thoroughly, it's important to understand that there is a difference between a psychic and a medium. So you can have psychic mediums, but they're two very different sensitivities, if you understand. So a psychic is someone who will pick up on the energy of another person or another object, whereas a medium will communicate with your loved ones who are now in spirit. A psychic won't do that, but a medium will do that. So um, sorry, I forgot the question.
Sorry, I said, do you just feel it or do you see
Yeah.
spirits?
So yeah, so to work as a medium, you usually find there are three different ways in which a medium will connect with the spirit worlds, and that's through clairvoyance, which is to see spirit, clairaudience, which is to hear spirit, and clairsentience, which is to feel their presence, feel certain conditions or messages that they would want you to understand. On a personal note, when I first connect with spirit, whether that be in a private reading or because that spirit wants to communicate us with clairvoyance. So I'll see spirit with my physical eyes, and I see them as a negative of a photo. So I see them as like a black and white energy that takes the shape of a person. And then, through clairaudience and clairsentience, then I'll be able to receive them. They want me to communicate to the loved ones who are still here.
Okay. What else? There's so many people that sorry. There are so many people that don't believe in the afterlife or in spirits and everything like that. So what would you say to make them understand that these things actually exist?
Well, I think there's a couple of different things that feed into that, I suppose, and there could be any number of reasons as to why people wouldn't want to believe that what mediums do is real. Maybe through a sense of fear, maybe through a sense of loyalty to an alternative religion, perhaps, or maybe they just don't want to know. There are lots of different reasons, but what I think is important to understand is that what mediums do is actually healing people. People come to us in the most delicate times in their life, where they're grieving for their loved ones. And our job is to help them to understand their loved ones are okay, that they're safe, that they're well, and they've really just gone into another room. Is probably a good analogy for it. But they're no longer suffering the physical ailments that we do, and that they are still very much with us in every other sense of the word, other than physically. And I think it's quite important that if people did understand that they would be able to take some comfort from the fact that what mediums do is just to help people with their healing and their grief.
Okay, that's good. And so what is your religion?
So my religion, I suppose, is spiritualist. Although, there are mediums who don't consider themselves to belong to any form of religion, really. But yeah, I would consider myself to be a spiritualist, if I had to categorize myself into anything. And that's purely because what I see in the spiritualist faith or belief, if you like, is that there are no hard and fast rules, or there's no governance on how you should live your life and how you should not live your life. Basically, in a nutshell, what it asks of you is that you live your life according to your own moral compass. If you believe something is right, then that's right for you. And if it doesn't cause harm to other people or yourself, then that's the right thing to do. Regardless, your sexual orientation, your race, your nationality, that doesn't matter. We all come from exactly the same place. And as long as you live your life according to a good moral compass, then nothing more can be asked of you.
Okay. I'm curious. You said you're a psychic medium. So do you use cards? Do you have
I do.
Those tarot cards or what?
Yeah, so I do.
Okay.
So the better way so for people who go to see a psychic medium, the best way for them to tell what type of reading they get in, either psychic or mediumship, is that a psychic will use a tool. So tarot cards, crystal balls, dowsing rods, that's very much a psychic tool. Whereas a mediumship reading, they will be none of that. On a personal note, that's not to say that either one is better or more useful than the other, because of course they both serve a great purpose in helping people their life. But I personally do read psychic tools, but I will make it clear to people that this is part of a psychic reading, and now we're going to move over to the mediumship reading. So there's that clear difference in what people are getting. But yeah, psychic readings there will be a use of tarot cards, angel cards, or a tool or an instrument of some kind. And mediumship is where there'll be none of that, and it's purely the medium is used as a bridge between the two worlds.
Okay, and how is this done? Does it always have to be physically, or you can do it like right now? Or maybe do you just okay. I think
I do readings for people all over the world. So, and that's done through a FaceTime or video call such as this. It is very different doing it this way. The readings don't tend to last as long, but the link is not necessarily to do with the person you're reading for. It's more so it is entirely to do with the loved ones. But yeah, so it can be done in all settings to work mediumistically. It can be done either face to face or on an online setting such as this.
Okay. What else do I want to ask? Let's say if I come to you and say I want a reading, right? Do I have to tell you what my problem is, or do you just pick up on something as soon as you see me?
So you're referring of a psychic reading. So if there are people that book psychic readings and they want answers to very specific questions, and that would be more of a psychic reading, because then you'd find the use of tarot cards where they would be able to delve into someone's past, present, and future. If you
Okay.
were to go to
Emmanuel,
reading, that you
come and get
you
this
would
back.
just go to the that's okay. You would just go to the medium and let them do the rest. But they would communicate with your loved ones who are no longer here and give you evidence and messages.
Okay, and this is what you do for a living, right? Or do you have any other thing to do apart from it?
Yeah, I work as a support worker, so that tends to be my main thing. But this is what I do. This is more so. It started off as here and there, but it's becoming very busy. So I think that the need within people is growing, and they're looking to alternative sources of comfort and peace, especially regarding grief. With what the world has just been through with the COVID-19 pandemic, people have really changed their mindset and views on where they can go to find a place of peace and healing, especially to those families who have lost loved ones. So yeah, I think the need within people is changing and growing, and people are certainly opening their minds to exploring different avenues to get what they're looking for.
Okay, and have you gotten any form of backlash or any negativity from anybody that you've done a reading for?
Not personally, but I'm aware that mediums do get that. Because I think what's important to note sometimes is that the medium's not really in control of what's being said. So you could have someone that come to see, and they come to see a medium, and they would have a very specific person in mind of who they want to hear from. If that person then doesn't come through from spirit, they then hold the medium responsible for that. And I suppose there's no right or wrong. Grief is a very funny thing, and people want to know specifically that a certain person is okay. And that can't always be the case for any number of reasons. So in situations like that, I'm aware that other people have faced a backlash where a certain person didn't make contact from spirit.
Okay. As let me see. Every religion has where they go for comfort, maybe somebody to talk to anytime they're feeling low. As a spiritualist, where do you go?
So one thing that I learned was quite effective, especially through the lockdowns, through the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to that, we have spiritualist churches. So there are churches that we can go to week where there's a different medium that gives a different demonstration of mediumship and different philosophy. But throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, obviously everything was locked down. So we had to find different ways of doing things. And I think what people have quickly realized is that actually you don't need an old building. You don't need to go to a certain place to find that place of love in yourself. You carry that with you. It's a case of creating the best of what you have. You bring that energy to you. You find that place of peace and comfort within yourself. The internet and social media platforms were amazing for bringing people together throughout that. We were still able to congregate in a virtual world where we could still provide the messages of love and hope and healing that we were still doing, albeit in a physical setting. And what we found is that even since the COVID-19 pandemic, now rather than just having a physical church to go to, we now have the churches to go to as well as a virtual setting, which is so much better, especially for people who cannot physically access a church through disabilities and things like that, where they can do all of this and still take part in their faith and the comfort of their own home.
Okay. All right. So what you're saying is we can find comfort anywhere. We don't have to have a specific building or a specific place we're supposed to go to. We can, we find comfort within, right?
You from within, and you can bring that out in yourself wherever you are. We don't need to go to a building where there's rituals and candles and prayers. We don't need that. We can bring that to us. Anybody can bring that to yourself. You find comfort and peace from within. If you're, and like I said earlier on in the questions, that if you live your life according to a good moral compass, and you can tell yourself every day, I've done the best I can today for myself and everyone else around me. I have done the decisions I've made today have been for the good of myself and everyone else around me. And then what more can you possibly ask of yourself? And if you can go to bed every night with that clear state, that you've already found that peace.
Exactly. Okay. So if somebody wants to get a reading from you, or how do they go about it? How do they book a session with you?
So they need to book through my Facebook page. So maybe we can leave the link for it on this interview, perhaps. But yeah, they book through my Facebook page, and then we book them in with available dates that way, and then we'll set up, depending where they are. If they live locally, then I would go to see them face to face, or if it's internationally or anywhere else in the UK, then we would set up like a Zoom room such as this, and we would do it that way.
Okay, like I'm on an interview, please. You can't have a break in this house. Thank you so much. So if I have more questions, can I still ask you?
Of course you can.
I can reach out on Facebook, right?
Reach out on Facebook. Yeah, we've already communicated through Messenger, so feel free to drop me any questions you have.
Okay, this has been really eye-opening. You know, I've always been curious. I used to watch Teresa, is it Teresa Caputo? Something like that. Teresa, she's one,
Yes.
the Long Island medium.
Yes.
I spent hours watching her, and I was always curious. I wondered how it worked. So to have this is amazing.
It works very differently for everybody. And I always say to people that you could have, there's not one medium who's better than the other. We all work exactly the same. And I think with anything that people do, whether it's, in any line of work that people do, you tend to get egos that get in the way. But actually no one's better than anyone else. We just all work in a very different way. And I think that's the difference, is how we learn to communicate with spirit. So the message I just gave you, although I didn't, and this is where it's different over like an online platform such as this. The spirit that I was communicating with for you, I saw here next to me, rather than being with you. So then the message that he was giving me were through words and impressions, if that makes sense. So it was putting the words into my mouth for me to then just relay straight to you. But people work very different. So everyone works very different.
Okay. This is beautiful. So beautiful. See, I always said I want to learn as much as I can. And I know that there's so much that we don't really know about, because most of the times people are closed-minded.
They are.
So yeah, this has been very, very beautiful and eye-opening. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So if I want to put the link in the description box. You scared me. See, I'm talking about spirits, and I saw you in the thing. I thought I thought I had the ability as well.
Watched by someone else.
So I'll get the link that you sent to my messenger, and I'll put it in the description.
Thank you so much.
If I have any questions, I'll still reach out. This has been amazing. Thank you for taking your time, and thank you for being patient. I know I delayed you.
Not at all. It's absolutely fine. It was a pleasure to meet you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll reach out to you again on Messenger.
No worries. I look forward to it. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.